Hi, I'm Craig, and this is Crash Course Government and Politics, and today we're going to talk about a fundamental concept in American government, federalism. Sorry. I'm not sorry. You're not even endangered anymore. Federalism is a little confusing because it includes the word federal as in federal government, which is what we use to describe the government of the United States as a whole, which is kind of the opposite of what we mean when we say federalism. Confused? Google it. This video will probably come up, and then just watch this video. Or just continue watching this video. So what is federalism? Most simply, it's the idea that in the US, governmental power is divided between the government of the United States and the government of the individual states. The government of the US, the national government, is sometimes called the federal government, while the state governments are just called the state governments. This is because technically the US can be considered a federation of states, but this means different things to different people. For instance, federation of states means ham sandwich to me. I'll have one federation of states, please. Side of tater tots. Thank you. And then just watch this video. System, or the national government takes care of some things, like, for example, war with other countries and delivering the mail, while the state government takes care of other things like driver's license, hunter's license, barber's license, dentist license, license to kill. That's James Bond, and that's in England, and that I hope states don't do that. Pretty simple, right? Maybe not. For one thing, there are some aspects of government that are handled by both the state and the national government. Taxes, Americans' favorite government activity, are an example. There are federal taxes and state taxes. But it gets even more complicated because there are different types of federalism depending on what period in American history you're talking about. Stan, why is history so confusing? Stan, you can tell me? Can you talk, Stan? Basically, though, there are two main types of federalism. Dual federalism, which has nothing to do with Aaron Burr, usually refers to the period of American history that stretches from the founding of our great nation until the New Deal. And cooperative federalism, which has been the rule since the 1930s. Let's start with an easy one and look at dual federalism, in the thought bubble. From 1788 until 1937, the U.S. basically lived under a regime of dual federalism, which meant government power was strictly divided between the state and national governments. Notice I didn't say separated because I don't want you to confuse federalism with separation of powers. Don't do it! With dual federalism, there are some things that only the federal government does and some things that only the state governments do. This is sometimes called jurisdiction. The national government had jurisdiction over internal improvements like interstate roads and canals, subsidies to the states, and tariffs, which are taxes on imports and thus fall under the general heading of foreign policy. The national government also owns public lands and regulates patents, which need to be national for them to offer protection for inventors in all the states. And because you want a silver dollar in Delaware to be worth the same as a silver dollar in Georgia, the national government also controls currency. The state government had control over property laws, inheritance laws, commercial laws, banking laws, corporate laws, insurance, family law, which means marriage and divorce, morality, stuff like public lewdness and drinking, keeps me in check, public health, education, criminal laws, including determining what is a crime and how crimes are prosecuted, land use, which includes water and mineral rights, elections, local government, and licensing of professions and occupations, basically what's required to drive a car, or open a bar, or become a barber, or become James Bond. So, under dual federalism, the state government has jurisdiction over a lot more than the national government. These powers over health, safety, and morality are sometimes called police power, and usually belong to the states. Because of the strict division between the two types of government, dual federalism is sometimes called layer cake federalism. Delicious. And it's consistent with the tradition of limited government that many Americans hold very dear. Thanks, Thought Bubble. Now, some of you might be wondering, Craig, where does the national government get the power to do anything that has to do with states? Yeah, well, off the top of my head, the U.S. Constitution in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 gives Congress the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. This is what's known as the Commerce Clause, and the way that it's been interpreted forms the basis of dual federalism and cooperative federalism. For most of the 19th century, the Supreme Court decided that almost any attempt by any government, federal or state, to regulate state economic activity would violate the Commerce Clause. This basically meant that there was very little regulation of business at all. Freedom! And this is how things stood, with the U.S. following a system of dual federalism with very little government regulation, and the national government not doing much other than going to war, buying or conquering enormous amounts of territory, and delivering the mail. Then the Great Depression happened, and Franklin Roosevelt and Congress enacted the New Deal, which changed the role of the federal government in a big way. The New Deal brought us cooperative federalism, where the national government encourages states and localities to pursue nationally defined goals. The main way that the federal government does this is through dollar bills, y'all. Money is what I'm saying. Stan, can I make it rain? Yeah? All right, I'm doing it. I happen to have cash in my hand right now. Oh yeah, take my federal money, states. Regulate me. A regulator. This money that the federal government gives to the state is called a grant and aid. Grants and aid can work like a carrot, encouraging a state to adopt a certain policy, or work like a stick when the federal government withholds funds if a state doesn't do what the national government wants. Grants and aid are usually called categorical because they're given to states for a particular purpose, like transportation or education or alleviating poverty. There are two types of categorical grants and aid: formula grants and project grants. Under a formula grant, a state gets aid in a certain amount of money based on a mathematical formula. The best example of this is the old way welfare was given in the US under the program called Aid to Families with Dependent Children. AFDC. States got a certain amount of money for every person who was classified as poor. The more poor people a state had, the more money it got. Project grants require states to submit proposals in order to receive aid. The states compete for a limited pool of resources. Nowadays, project grants are more common than formula grants, but neither is as popular as block grants, which the government gives out Lego blocks and then you build stuff with the Legos. It's a good time. No, where the national government gives a state a huge chunk of money for something big like infrastructure, which is made with concrete and steel, not Legos, and the state is allowed to figure out how to spend the money. The basic type of cooperative federalism is the carrot stick type, which is sometimes called marble cake federalism because it mixes up the state and federal governments in ways that makes it impossible to separate the two. Federalism, it's such a culinary delight. The key to this is, you guessed it, dollar bills, y'all, money. But there's another aspect of cooperative federalism that's really not so cooperative, and that's regulated federalism. Under regulated federalism, the national government sets up regulations and rules that the states must follow. Some examples of these rules, also called mandates, are EPA regulations, civil rights standards, and the rules set up by the Americans with Disabilities Act. Sometimes the government gives the states money to implement the rules, but sometimes it doesn't, and they must comply anyway. That's called an unfunded mandate, or as I like to call it, an unfun mandate, because no money, no fun. A good example of this is OSHA regulations that employers have to follow. States don't like these, and Congress tried to do something about them with the Unfunded Mandates Reform Act, or UMRA, but it hasn't really worked. In the early 21st century, Americans are basically living under a system of cooperative federalism with some areas of activity that are heavily regulated. This is a stretch from the original idea that federalism will keep the national government small and have most government functions belong to the states. If you follow American politics, and I know you do, this small government ideal should sound familiar because it's the bedrock principle of many conservatives and libertarians in the US. As conservatives made major political inroads after the 1970s, a new concept of federalism, which was actually kind of an old concept of federalism, became popular. It was called, surprise, New Federalism, and it was popularized by Presidents Nixon and Reagan. Just to be clear, it's called New Federalism, not surprise, New Federalism. New federalism basically means giving more power to the states, and this has been done in three ways. First, block grants allow states discretion to decide what to do with federal money. And what's a better way to express your power than spending money? Or not spending money, as the case may be. Another form of new federalism is devolution, which is the process of giving state and local governments the power to enforce regulations, devolving power from the national to the state level. Finally, some courts have picked up the cause of new federalism through cases based on the 10th Amendment, which states, "The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people." The idea that some powers, like those police powers I talked about before, are reserved by the states has been used to put something of a brake on the Commerce Clause. So, as you can see, where we are with federalism today is kind of complicated. Presidents Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and Clinton seem to favor new federalism and block grants. But George W. Bush seemed to push back towards regulated federalism with laws like No Child Left Behind and the creation of the Department of Homeland Security. It's pretty safe to say that we're going to continue to live under a regime of cooperative federalism with a healthy dose of regulation thrown in. But many Americans feel that the national government is too big and expensive and not what the framers wanted. If history is any guide, a system of dual federalism with most of the government in the hands of the states is probably not going to happen. For some reason, it's really difficult to convince institutions to give up powers once they've got them. I'm never giving up this power. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Crash Course Government and Politics is produced in association with PBS Digital Studios. Support for Crash Course U.S. Government comes from Vocal. Vocal supports nonprofits that use technology and media to advance social equity. Learn more about their mission and initiatives at vocal.org. Crash Course is made with the help of these nice people. Thanks for watching. You didn't help make this video at all, did you? No. But you did get people to keep watching until the end, because you're an adorable dog.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Whitfield. I'm the Democratic challenger running for United States Senate here in Arkansas to take on, unseat, and replace Senator John Boozman. And every Saturday evening, for the most part, I do a weekly live stream update Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout my update this evening, make sure you ask. I'm streaming on Haps, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, all these different platforms. So ask your questions while I do my update, and then I will make sure to answer them when I'm finished. So I'm sorry I was not able to do my live stream last week. I did get my second vaccination and hit me like a truck. I had a pretty rough week. I was sick, sore, not feeling good. I'm not sure if it was from the second dose of the Pfizer vaccine or if it was because when I got my second dose, there were 100 people in the room and I could have gotten sick from that as well. So, but fortunately, I'm past the worst. I'm feeling better and I'm ready to get going. I will be fully vaccinated and safe on May 1st. And that means that we are going to start campaigning. That means I'm going to be getting out there doing events, fundraisers, rallies, meet and greets, whatever I can do to listen to different Arkansans' concerns and see how I can help better represent them in the legislative process. All right, so for updates, COVID, our cases have been going down a little bit, but they're still staying around between 200 and 300. We did have a little high a couple days ago, like 350 cases in one day. We still have lost over 5,600 Arkansans, unfortunately, due to COVID-19. So make sure you are taking it seriously. Even if you do get vaccinated, I plan on still wearing my mask when I'm out in public because I can still contract COVID-19 and I can still give it to somebody else. It just makes it so that if I catch it, I will be a lot less likely to suffer a fatality from the symptoms. So I will still be wearing a mask when I'm in public meeting with people. So make sure you're still wearing a mask, socially distancing, washing your hands, and all those good things. If I do see you out here in the next couple weeks, instead of shaking your hand, I'll probably give you an elbow bump. So make sure you're just still paying attention to what's going on with COVID. We do not have an opinion yet from our ballot access hearing case from 2020. We did have our court hearing 7.5 months after our first expedite back on March 18th. It's been a month and a week. No word yet. I'm still waiting to find out what happens because we're hoping to set some precedent for independent candidates here in Arkansas so that instead of having a fixed 90-day period, they have an open 90-day period like everybody else. So I'll let you all know as soon as I get my opinion done for that. We'll go over it. Yes, so I know my hair is getting kind of long. Oh my gosh, this is the longest it's been in quite some time. Fortunately, though, I will be getting a haircut. Hopefully, let me see, by my next live stream. Let's see, the first is going to be a Saturday. Yes, so I'll go out and I'll get a haircut here soon and get back to my professional look. So, all right. We are vaccinated. We're ready to start campaigning. We're ready to go. What that means is I need as many volunteers as possible. We have, I believe, 88 volunteers right now. They're all standing by on Slack and Facebook and groups like that. So thank you to my volunteers and my supporters. I really greatly and humbly appreciate all of your help, but it is time to get going. I'll go ahead and I'll make some Slack messages this evening or tomorrow and make sure that we can start getting organized and get going. We need to get events planned. We need to get rallies planned. And if you want to volunteer or help, it's very, very simple. I mean, helping could be something as simple as reaching out to your friends, your neighbors, your family, preferably people who've been vaccinated, and find a time where they can all get together and I can meet y'all and I can answer your questions and we can do a meet and greet. Very, very simple stuff. It's not hard. So if you feel comfortable volunteering in that way and facilitating a meet and greet, or if you can help a little bit more involved and maybe you can go canvassing, go door to door, I can give you some literature and what to talk about and different ways that we are going to help the people of Arkansas once we do get elected into the Senate. You can even help with phone banking. There's just so many different ways you can help, from website design to graphics development. Many different things. So if you really want to see a GOP Senator, John Boozman, get unseated and have a Democrat representing the state of Arkansas, fighting for workers' rights, fighting for livable wages, for protecting our natural state's environment, for enforcing taxation on the billionaires and giant corporations that are currently avoiding taxation altogether, while lowering taxation for the working class, helping to fight things like property taxes, just so many different things that I see as a vision for Arkansas that I want to bring. If these are things that you want, then you've got to help us because it's going to take an army. We've got to network. We've got to mobilize. We've got to make sure that every single person in Arkansas knows who Dan Whitfield is, knows what Dan Whitfield stands for, and knows that Dan Whitfield is going to fight for them and their families no matter what. So if you can volunteer, let me know. Reach out to me. You can give me a call. You can shoot me an email, a message on social media. and I will go ahead and reach out to you, get you guys connected with our Slack group. And if you're not comfortable with Slack, then I will share our Facebook group for you, where we have all of our other different volunteers together. And then if you're on a different platform like Haps or Twitter or whatever, just reach out to me and I'll make sure I get you involved so that you can help. Let me go ahead and read some of these real quick. Awesome. Yeah, the second dose was tough. Oh my gosh. All right. So on top of volunteering, we are going to start going out. I believe there is a chili cook-off in El Dorado next weekend. I'm not sure if I'll make it there. If we can get someone in the El Dorado area, maybe Magnolia or down somewhere Hot Springs or maybe Texarkana, if you can get a meet and greet facilitated and ready to go by next weekend, that would be perfect, because then I'll go to the chili cook-off, meet a bunch of people on Saturday, and then I'll stay the evening, and then on Sunday we can do a meet and greet, and then I can start the long drive back home. So if you're in that area and that's something you're interested in, make sure you reach out to me and let me know. And yes, I'm so excited to finally be going out there and hitting the ground and talking to people. It's been a really rough COVID year, and thankfully I'm finally fully vaccinated. All right. So on top of this, doing these things do cost money. Now, unfortunately, Trent Garner has issued or he submitted a bill. It's a Senate bill. Is it 684? Let me check real quick. I believe it is 684. So Trent Garner has submitted a bill which would implement mandatory minimum filing fees for political candidates in the state of Arkansas. Now, we all know that 60% of Republicans did run unopposed last year, and because of that, the Democratic Party of Arkansas agreed to reduce filing fees for candidates and even to eliminate filing fees altogether for Democrats running against unopposed Republicans. Now, the Republicans' response to this was to submit a bill, Mr. Hester, that would require mandatory minimum filing fees. So my filing fee is currently $5,000. And if this bill does go through and become law, it is unconstitutional. And I've already contacted a lawyer, my lawyer, James Linger, who is a constitutional ballot access election specialist. He has said that it is an unconstitutional law, and he will represent the people of Arkansas in order to make sure that if that law is signed and placed into law, that we can fight to have it repealed for the unconstitutionality of it. So that being said, if it does somehow become law and we haven't gotten through this lawsuit yet, they will raise my filing fee from $5,000 to $12,000. So we do need as much funds as possible. You can go to danforarkansas.com. There's a donor box link, or you can go to my Act Blue. Just search on Act Blue Dan Whitfield, Arkansas U.S. Senate candidate, Democrat, something like that. My Act Blue will pop up, or I'll probably post a donation link. I haven't been posting many recently on my Facebook and things like that. So I will get those through, but we need as many donations as possible to make sure we can afford these filing fees, and I can still make sure to afford gas, to start getting events out there. I want to have some really fun events where we can get Republicans and Democrats and Libertarians and Green Party and Independents all together. I would love to have some fishing fundraisers. So one thing I am going to work on putting together this summer is I want to be able to have fishing fundraisers all around our state, where we can have Arkansans from all different political backgrounds come together. We can have fish fries, fry some hot dogs, some sausages, maybe even some venison, fish, burgers, vegan burgers, whatever y'all want. But we can come together, talk about different issues that are affecting our families, and hopefully have some really good political conversations and start bridging this gap of Democrat and Republican, because we're all Arkansans. We're all facing the same problems of low wages, high taxes. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat or anything else. These are all problems we're facing together. So I will be working on setting up a series of these fishing fundraisers. Throw some lines in the water. I love to fish. It'll be a lot of fun. But these things cost money. So if you can, please donate. If you can afford to set up a reoccurring donation, those are wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll make sure that all my reoccurring donors are going to start getting some swag here soon. I'm just waiting for Vistaprint to throw out another 50% off sale so I can get some more swag. And we'll make sure that we can get some hats and t-shirts and different things out to y'all. All right. So It's been a really exciting last week with everything going on. I'm getting ready to campaign. We have events, meet and greets. I've already talked about all that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let me go ahead and check some of these comments. And Starla, thank you so much for joining us again. You're awesome. Let me see here. Let's see. Who cares who's in Congress? They all love Israel. I mean, it's actually a very interesting point you're making. I think one of the biggest election interferers, the foreign interferers in our American elections would be Israel, because Israel puts tens of millions of dollars into American politicians' pockets, and in return, American politicians vote to give them tens of billions of dollars in military aid, which is something that I think we should be talking about more. Let's go ahead and check out what's going on here on Facebook. Oh, thank you, Shane. I mean, you can be a conservative, a liberal, a progressive, a socialist, whatever you want to be, an anarchist. But as long as we have these problems in the electoral process where people can't even get on the ballot, so that we can't even have candidates running opposed, that's a big problem. I would rather have a Republican Democrat run all day, every day, than just a Republican or even just a Democrat. Because when you have just one candidate, you don't even really get to vote for them. They're just paying their party filing fee and they're purchasing a seat in the legislative process. And when these people do that, they don't have any motivation, incentive. They don't have the motive needed to help the people that got them there. So I think it's really important. It's 20,000 to primary sitting Republican for a Senate seat. That is ridiculous. I mean, realistically, that's 50% of the average Arkansans household income. 50% of their income just to primary a Republican. That is insane. What we need is we need more working class people in the legislative process. We need to make sure that we have people from all different backgrounds representing us. That way they can understand how the laws that they're voting on and passing are going to impact and affect different parts of our society. I mean, we have most of our legislators are lawyers. Most of them are millionaires. Most of them are older white men. What we really need is we need teachers. We need ecologists. We need doctors. We need, economists. We need all of these different backgrounded people to start representing us. But it's really hard when a lot of these people are working class people who can't afford to, say, like you said, pay a $20,000 filing fee. It's really, really tough. And I see that myself as a working class candidate. I have a job. I'm a student. I have a wife, a daughter, a family. It's really, really tough when I can see like my opponent, John Bozeman, going out there and he can just spend every single day going to event after event after event, not having to worry about taking time off work or how he's going to pay his bills or anything like that. So it is really tough. Politics is a money game, but we need to change that, because as long as we have politicians representing us who care more about filling their coffers and how they're going to get their next dollar, we're not going to have politicians that actually care about us and listen to their constituents' wants and needs. Sorry, that's my political spiel. I'll stop there. But I'm not seeing too many more comments on here. Like I said, there hasn't been a huge update for things. There's been a couple different party meetings that I've attended. I'm going to keep attending the different political party meetings. And starting next week, I'm so excited. I'm going to get out there, put my suit back on, and man, I can't wait. So I don't see many more questions on here. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about policy right now unless anyone specifically asks. But what I will do is, of course, reach out to me anytime through social media. My phone number is 479-418-6008. You can always text me if you're more comfortable than talking. Give me a call. You can send me an email. danforarkansas.com is my website. Click the contact. All of my information's right there. And ask me questions. If you have any concerns, make sure you let me know concerns. If you have any words of support, feel free to, throw me out a word of support, because there are haters out there and I love the positive vibes to keep me going. Oh, no problem, Starla. The best thing you can do for Massachusetts, just share, get the word out, because we have to make sure that everybody knows that Arkansas is not a lost cause. Even though the GOP has basically purchased our state after the Koch brothers put tens of millions of dollars into our elections, we still can take our state back. We have the lowest voter turnout. We just need to make sure that we're getting eligible voters to register to vote and our registered voters to show up to vote. And we can do that by getting them excited about policy, finding ways to help them and their families save money, how to help them and their families make their lives better, and things like that. Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh man, I mean, my hair is so long. I was gonna wear a hat. I've been wearing a hat. I look like one of the Beatles. It's crazy. But this will be the last time y'all see me with long hair, as it will all be cut off by my live stream next week. Oh man. Well, awesome guys. I'm not seeing a whole lot else going in chat, and I don't really have too much more to update on. My live streams are hopefully going to be getting longer as we get more events planned and scheduled. So if you can volunteer, reach out. We're ready to get started volunteering. If you can donate, please do so, because we're ready to start campaigning. Man, we're ready to go. I'm excited. I feel a great positive energy. We're ready. We're going to flip Arkansas blue in 2022. And I'm so excited to do it, because just the way that our very extremely partisan legislators have been treating the people of Arkansas these last couple months is just really disgusting. The unconstitutional bills violating our First Amendment rights, violating our 14th Amendment rights. There's so much going on that we need change. We really do. So hopefully you guys feel the same way, and you guys can help us get this change. If you guys have any questions, reach out to me anytime. I will see you guys. My next live stream is going to be Friday at 8 p.m. Central Time, where I do my next legislative recap. And then, of course, my weekly update Q&A is going to be next Saturday, 6 p.m. Central. You guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. Enjoy this beautiful weather. Make sure you get vaccinated if it's safe for you to do so. My wife, she has a severe allergy to penicillin. She just got her first shot yesterday. Her arm is really sore right now, but she's still feeling pretty good. Just take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. It's just, we live in the beautiful natural state, so, take advantage of it. But hey, enough of my whole spiel on there. You guys have a wonderful evening. Reach out to me anytime. May God bless you all. May God bless America, and may God bless Arkansas.